Caleb, you're looking red there.
That's right. I got a little sunshine there yesterday. I was with my son and his friends there, and the Irish, you can always find the Irish on a beach. Just look for the reddest looking person on the beach, and you can rest assured that that's an Irish guy.
Well, the color is doing well for you, and glad that
Yeah.
you are getting outside on the beaches of Spain and enjoying
Unfortunately, I
life
never
out there.
tan, you know? Yeah. Unfortunately, I never tan. I just go from white to burnt red and then back to white again. So
Well,
I
if
never
you would
brown.
please leave your shirt on for us. I think that it could be a very dangerous glare on the
Yeah.
screen, perhaps.
It's dangerous even when I'm not sunburned.
Yeah, bringing out the big guns. So I'm sure we would get views to the end if you threatened to take your
Yeah.
shirt off.
Yeah. We don't want that kind of viral publicity.
we only AI Caleb would come out
Yeah,
through
yeah, yeah.
through some sort of new video. So Caleb, I'm excited about what we're talking about today, which is really one of those dark arts of e-commerce that a lot of e-commerce businesses never figure out and don't see their way through making it happen. And of course, it's one of the strategies that you really dive deeply into monetization in your book. And one of the things that really spurred you to want to write the book Monetization, which is really a the secret hidden in plain sight, which is the back end upsell that so many e commerce businesses leave out. Why is an upsell so important? And why do so many e commerce businesses just not be able to see their way to being able to create what we're going to really dive into today, show you a brilliant example and something that you could probably copy. But first, like, why do so many e-commerce businesses just not see their way doing this? And why is it so important?
Well, upsells are definitely critical to your success as a customer acquisition, as part of a customer acquisition strategy. At the end of the day, whoever can afford to spend the most amount of money to acquire a customer is going to grow the fastest, is going to secure their business the greatest. And having upsells in your upsell path, having an upsell after somebody buys your initial product is going to generate more money for you. It's going to generate an increased or a bigger average order value, which will allow you to either A, recoup your investment in ads a lot faster, or else B, profit, from your ads. And definitely it's going to give you the ability to spend a lot more money to acquire a customer. Why do so many guys not do it? I just don't really think people have an understanding of why they're so important, why upsells are so important. I don't think people have a deep understanding of what this business really is and how it should work. I don't think people understand that this is a game of math, and it's actually math that wins the game for you. It's not so much what people kind of think, which is, you need a high converting ad, you need a product with great demand. It's not that that stuff is not important. All of that stuff is critical. But at the end of the day, what builds businesses is a math equation that, is very positive, an equation that
Mhm.
allows you to acquire a lot of customers very consistently, and an equation that allows you to profit from those customers for an extended period of time. So I just don't think that people really understand how the game truly works, and don't understand how to implement upsells, don't understand the importance of them, don't understand the impact of them. Certainly the hardcore internet marketers out there they understand the importance of upsells and how to use them and how to leverage them. But I think a lot of e-commerce guys come into the game with a overinflated focus on the product itself and not so much the strategy and the math of the business. But Rob, you also have tremendous experience dealing with e-commerce guys. Perhaps your answer to that question would be different than mine.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely, and I love the way you summarize that. Just instead of having such a focus on the product, really an understanding of the customer and the math behind it. As I remember, it was really 2003, 2004 when I started working with some advertisers in a niche that you were running ads in magazines, generating leads, having a follow-up sequence in order to generate a customer. And then when you generated a customer, that's really when the sales began. And that's when the real efforts started. And because that was, now you identified somebody who was interested in this topic, who is motivated enough to make a purchase. And now is when you started your offer sequence and your monetization of that customer. And of course, back then, you generated a lead out of a magazine, and most of those leads at that time were generated through a toll-free number where they'd call and they'd leave their name and mailing address in order to receive the information. Then 28-day follow-up mailing sequence was the most common. And when somebody bought, then there was 90 days worth of offers that were mailed to that person in various campaigns in order to monetize those new customers. Then what we saw as folks started migrating to the internet was a lot of people created products, maybe about how to have great sex or how to play tennis or how to become a witch or how to whatever. And they were able to front end a $45 product or even a $99 product all day. So the market expanded and the price of fulfillment and the price of advertising plummeted. You were able to make money through these initial sales. And then out came Google AdWords, and you were able to generate traffic for pennies. And next came Facebook advertising. And as Google sort of increased the prices and pushed out the advertisers other than the corporate guys, Facebook came along and that offered free traffic essentially for decades. And then out came 2020, and you had a massive increase in the number of people who were online and buying. And so it made these individuals look like geniuses because they were able to make so much money on the front end. And what we've seen over the last 3 or 4 years is that easy money is long since dried up. Facebook is looking to increase their ad revenue year over year in order to make themselves look good on Wall Street. The Meta glasses haven't worked. Maybe the Ray-Bans will take off, but they are increased pressure to have revenue gains. And so that comes out of advertisers. And they've got to throttle back of course, the views on the website have gone down because there's not as many users. And so they've got to get more money from each click, which means that the advertising costs more and generates less traffic than it has ever in 10 years. And that means that e-commerce brands are just absolutely pinched today, when for years they've been able to make money on the front end. And what we're going to dive into today is an amazing example of somebody who has been really very smart about generating traffic online and using that paid traffic in order to maximize the value of those customers so that they can afford to pay more for their traffic than anyone else that is advertising online in their category, which means they're able to become the number one player in their market. And as you pointed out in your book, Monetization, the number one player in a market generates massively more sales than the number two player. And then also going from being the number 5 player to becoming the number 1 in a market is almost impossible without outside capital. Trying to compete against the number 1 player is damnably difficult. And so this is really the recipe, is having these back-end products. And I think we picked a back-end product that really is of universal appeal in a way that pretty much any e-commerce business can use this as a model for their own marketing and drop in a back end using this type of recipe. It's not going to be the exact same thing, but the same idea. And so I think it's a really a brilliant approach to being able to change the economics of your customer acquisition so that you are making more money from your best customers. And then that allows you to invest more in your advertising to acquire more customers and grow much faster than you otherwise would be able to.
Yeah, absolutely. This upsell is really smart. I like it a lot. It's very easy, I think, for a lot of business owners to kind of implement. I do believe that it is relevant to, a lot of niches. I think it's going to be relevant to an awful lot of our listeners here, and it's something that I think is it's got recurring potential. Positioned correctly, I think it can have a very powerful take rate within the funnel.
Excellent. Well, I'll share the funnel link, walk through it briefly. Funnel by Performance Golf. This is a brilliant team who has been marketing in a very aggressive, smart way, spent millions of dollars in front end ads over the last several years, generating customers and serving them by helping them play golf. Here is a front end. We're going to show you, just give you a sense of what this funnel looks like, what customers are expecting, what they're experiencing, to give you context for the back end that we're going to show you in just a moment. And this front end is for the ball striking breakthrough. Discover 6-time major champion Sir Nick Faldo's ball striking breakthrough that adds 27 yards of deadly accurate distance at any age without swinging harder. And this is a brilliant headline all by itself because it is along the lines of what Caleb was talking about with Gary Halbert's get what you want without what you don't want formula that Halbert had used, but yet it's a even more detailed where you're going to be able to get 27 yards of accurate distance without having to swing harder. And they sort of have the kicker at any age, and that's a signal to the older golfers that they're going to be able to get increased distance simply by learning a breakthrough of somebody who is really their idol, Nick Faldo. And so they have a celebrity that this market trusts and really looks up to. It is the yardage that they want because really any golfers of a certain age are getting out on the course and they are experiencing their drives not going as far as their drives used to go. They are experiencing maybe a little less consistency, and so having that accurate distance, not just distance in ball travel but also landing on the green where they want it at any age, which includes them, the target customer, and without swinging harder, which if they've had any back injuries or they've had any struggle, they certainly feel as though they are not swinging as hard. So this is the initial sale. And Caleb, any thoughts on the headline and the approach to this front end offer here?
This is a really, really great VSL. The guys there at Performance Golf are very, very smart. They're very intelligent, very up to speed in terms of their prospect, who their prospect is, all of the pain points, just everything about their customers. So all of this copy is really bang on. And as you mentioned there, Rob, they've got a great celebrity here. This VSL is definitely worth watching if you can get your hands on it. It's a short VSL also, but they've really packed an awful lot of selling into such a short VSL. But yeah, the headline here is great. Everything that Rob said there is absolutely fabulous. I don't know how successful this particular sales letter was, but the copy is elite. I love everything about this whole thing, and it's a great offer to study in and of itself. And if you can get your
And
hands
what
on
we'll
it, I
do
think
is
you
we'll
should
put
do
a
so.
link down in the description of this video. So just to study this video sales letter and the upsell and the items that we're going to share with you, click the link below, and then that will allow you to get access to study the elements that we're going to be chatting about here. So this VSL, video sales letter front end, then goes to this order form. And this order form gets you the ball striking breakthrough video training. And instead of the normal price at $107, you're able to get it today for $57. Plus, you get the bonuses of Valdo Fitness Secrets bonus training, and you get entry into the one ball, one round challenge and a 14-day pass to Scratch Club, which is a $19 a month subscription membership program that really helps the new members accelerate the implementation of the course. So this is a very nice tight order form that includes the special offer. It also includes a little tick upsell if they want the compression masterclass. It adds they can go ahead and tick in order to get that as well. So a very nice order form that increases order value. And we're going to get to the upsell in just a moment, but it's important to have the context of the whole experience as you're getting to that upsell. Caleb, any thoughts on the order form?
It's a text heavy order form. There's a lot going on there. I know that like the more reading and the more copy that you need to consume on an order form, the lower your conversion rates are ultimately going to be. But these guys really know what they're doing, laid out as intelligently as it can be done. There's a force continuity offer in this, and that's really a double-edged sword. You can increase the quantity of continuity, recurring income that you can generate from your offer by doing that. So on one hand, it definitely skyrockets the potential earnings from this particular offer. But if it's not handled correctly, doing this kind of thing can get you into a lot of issues with refunds and complaints and chargebacks. But these guys know what they're doing. They do it very, very well, and this is working for them. And I'm sure that this is making a tremendous amount of money for them. The layout of the whole order form is worth paying attention to. They've got a lot of subtle things going on, a lot of interesting credibility elements, stamps, proof elements. They've got multiple offers for you to choose from. So just an interesting order form for you to take a look at. These guys are really firing on all cylinders and going for the jugular in what it is that they're selling here.
Absolutely. Lots of great detail in this order forms. The customers at this point, when they have gone through this sequence, they have spent somewhere between $57 and $97. They are enrolled in a 14-day pass to Scratch Club where that will renew for $19 per month. So all of those things need to be delivered and onboarded. And then there is a sequence of upsells. And we're going to really zero in on the third upsell within the sequence, which is presented as a special gift for members only. You get 30 days of one on one coaching for free. And there is a great video here, and maybe we'll share it in just a moment. But I think that the real key here is not so much how they're selling it, but what they are selling. And this is a tremendous lesson for really anybody in the e-commerce business.
Yeah, essentially what these guys are doing is they're providing expert support for a fee. So you get to record a little video of your golf swing and you can send it to these guys, and a PGA level pro can review your video and give you feedback on exactly what it is that you need to do to improve your swing, improve your game. So this is a type of upsell that really can be applied to almost any type of niche where people need an education or are embarking upon achieving a goal that has some level of complexity or skill that needs to be associated with it. So the idea being that you can go and essentially hire a team of experts and you can pay them a smaller amount of money to handle these types of support questions or issues for your customers. You can charge a monthly fee for this, and you can pay these experts by the day or by the hour to handle so many of these support requests. There's so many ways for you to use this. I mean, I'm just thinking, even in the beauty niche, you can go off and hire beauty experts online to essentially handle questions for your customers on things makeup orientated, style orientated. In the weight loss niche, there's weight loss coaches. In the personal development niche, there's life coaches. In the internet marketing niche, there's all sorts of experts that could assist your clients and customers. Even I'm thinking of, the guys we were looking at there not so long ago, people that sell meat, like an online butcher. There's so many opportunities for an online butcher to perhaps, offer some sort of cooking classes, some sort of barbecue coaching of some description. If you really think about what it is that you are selling and the niche that you are ultimately in, I'm sure that you will find that there are experts in that niche that can address issues and questions and desires that your customers would have. And you can offer a little upsell like this for a recurring amount of money every month. And I bet that it will have a nice take rate for you.
One of the things that I often find is a subscription business who is trying to offer this type of product on the front end, where
Yeah.
they have, for whatever reason, some sort of product that they are delivering, and then they are, usually because they want to make darn sure somebody buys it, they're going to offer what they think is a offer that cannot be refused, and throw in ongoing coaching and ongoing help, and they put so much into this product that they absolutely really overwhelm the offer. And what I have found is that by doing this the way Performance Golf structures their offers, where the front end offer is a tool, it's a product that I'm going to add 27 yards to my stroke without having to add any effort, and I can do it at any age. And it delivers a very nice, compelling solution to an urgent problem, because I just went out playing. Perhaps a trigger is I just went out playing golf this weekend with my buddies, and I used to be able to outdrive my friend, and now all of a sudden my friend is out driving me, and I'm frustrated, ticked off, and going, "Oh my gosh, if this continues, this is really going to get worse, and I'm going to be embarrassed. I'm just not going to enjoy golf as much because I'm not really able to play as well." And so they come across Sir Faldo and his offer, and it offers a very nice, compelling offer. And then there is the 14-day ongoing coaching. It's a What I find is that the product is a tool, then the ongoing support at a $19 level has additional acceleration to the offer. Maybe it helps in different areas of the golf game, and so it's a more comprehensive solution, where the one is simply the drive, and most people buy golf, they're buying things that are going to help them drive further, but they're also perhaps interested in some other elements of their game, and being able to accelerate those is going to be able to improve my score overall. And that's a nice incremental upsell. And what I find is that if you have coaching as a separate offer, in this case, it's a correspondence coaching where you're not necessarily on the phone live with a coach and having them help you in real time, but instead it's a correspondence type, asynchronous type coaching, where you're taking a video and sending it to the coach. And then when the coach is able to go through the queue of requests, then they get to yours, and they do them, I'm sure, as a batch. And then it's very much more efficient for the coach to be able to handle a batch of these, asynchronized rather than having to schedule a call and be on for a specific period. And so they go through those batches, send you the help that you need. I find that you're able to get a much higher price for that coaching by offering it on the back end than you would if you tried to package it all together. And because you're selling, you've already identified that these are individuals who are interested because they bought the front end. And then you've had a series of offers with this asynchronized coaching at the back end. You're able to get a much better customer. Also, I happen to know that Performance Golf offers actual seminars where you can travel to a golf camp, and that is several thousands of dollars and has been a tremendous back end offer for them. And so they are able to charge for those to the customers who upsell, and that's another level of coaching. And having the discipline of offering a nice front end product, maybe having an incremental continuity program packaged as part of that or as an upsell immediately thereafter, and then having this higher priced asynchronous coaching offer later, you're able to get a much higher price and really higher conversion through the entire funnel than you would if you tried to package all of it together as one big offer. What is your experience, Caleb?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's everything that you just mentioned there. I think, to me, as I was thinking about talking about this here today, one of the things that came to my mind was, the people that are watching this are probably thinking to themselves, hey, this sounds great and everything, but the idea of me going off and hiring a whole bunch of staff to support an offer like that is completely undesirable. One of the things that we did as a company a few years ago ourselves is we started to offer a media buying service, but we didn't go out. We didn't hire each one of the media buyers individually, and we didn't manage them all individually. And I wasn't on the phone dealing with any of them at all. What we did was we went out first and foremost. We went to Upwork.com and we hired a brilliant lady to essentially put the whole team together for us and manage the whole team on our behalf. So we went out, we found one person who was qualified to go out and essentially run and manage the whole team for us. And with websites like Upwork.com, number one, everyone that you would want to hire to fulfill, perhaps not in every case, but in the vast majority of cases, the types of experts that you would want to hire to fulfill on an offer like this can be found on Upwork, but also the type of expert that can put it all together for you, manage everything on your behalf, and kind of run the show for you is also on Upwork. So a way to think about this is you're just looking for one person to go out and put this whole team together, manage everything for you, and deliver on it. This is an offer that, positioned correctly, lots of people who want to accomplish things that are complicated and take time, things where there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of education that's needed. If you position it correctly, this type of offer can have a really great take rate. As Rob said, if everything that Rob mentioned goes before this type of offer can get a really good conversion rate for you, and it can add a tremendous amount of additional revenue and recurring revenue and financial security and ultimately average order value to your business, which you can roll back into acquiring more customers, which can really fuel the growth of your company. And you can have somebody run and manage this whole thing for you without you having the hassle of having to build this whole kind of team yourself and manage everything and everybody on a daily basis.
And what I've also discovered in looking at the numbers of so many different subscription businesses that have this tiered structure is that most businesses are really concerned about, oh my gosh, if I offer a $100 a month subscription, then that's going to have a lot of churn in it. And what I found is that those customers actually have a much higher retention rate than others. And that the coaching, when orchestrated well, is really simply driving the customer back into the product and encouraging the customer to consume what they've already purchased through the experience. And perhaps there might be some other casual suggestions of other products that you might offer that the customer may be able to benefit from. But in this case, these customers have purchased the ball striking breakthrough. They've purchased I can't believe I forgot it already. They've purchased the Scratch Club, and they have now this coaching program. And so as the coaches review their game and their swing, they're able to direct the customer back to the ball striking breakthrough video 3 that talks about a particular exercise, or they're able to drive them to the Scratch Club in a particular area to watch a particular drill video. And so they don't have to reinvent what the customer receives. They simply have to be familiar with the product that the customer has already purchased. And so what that does is it reinforces the value of the product that the customer has purchased, and it helps the customer feel that they are in the right place because now they have received an expert diagnosis of their problem, and the prescription for their problem is within the product that they've purchased. And so that really reduces refunds, increases engagement, and increases retention when this is choreographed in that way. And I absolutely love your suggestion about hiring a manager for this. And certainly I'm so jealous of your experience and how well you've been able to, over the years, repeatedly bring in a manager first and then let that manager help build out and manage the coaching program, educate those people on what they need to know, and then help get the customers back into the product that they purchased initially.
Well, one of the beautiful things about this type of offer as well is it's something that you can put together real fast. It's, if you were to sit down, if you sell like something physical and you're to decide, hey, I need an upsell, and you're thinking along the lines of something physical, that's a lot of money. I mean, you've got to find a product, you've got to, or else manufacture a product, and you've got to purchase inventory. It's this big investment in order to pull something off like that with a physical product. The same could be said with a digital product. It takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to sit down and create something that you can stick into your funnel. But if you think along the lines of services, either done with you services or done for you services, there's an awful lot of service providers out there, and you'd be shocked to find out how cheap you can get them from an hourly rate perspective. So this is an upsell that I think, positioned correct, can be an enormously valuable and enormously profitable upsell to include in your business, in your funnel, but it can also be a very fast, upsell to implement. Really, the sky's the limit. If you sit down, and you start to brainstorm what kind of done with you or done for you services you could offer to your particular customer in your particular niche, there's usually more than one, which means that not only can you have something for as an upsell in your funnel, you can also have something on the back end. And I also think that I've toyed around with this in the past. I've never really done it, unfortunately. I'm talking about something I haven't done, but I've often wondered as well, Robin, since you are kind of more of the expert on all things continuity related, when it comes to certain services like what it is specifically that the golf guys are doing here, like one of the things that came to mind as I was reviewing this upsell in their case was, I wonder, would something like $197 for 3 months, it's a one-time fee as opposed to a continuity offer, and limiting the scope of it, because I wonder, I obviously don't know Performance Golf's numbers, but I wonder how many people are still asking questions 6 months in, are still sending videos. Because to me, I kind of feel like maybe perhaps golfers kind of have like 3 or 4 or 5 issues, and by the time they've ripped through them, the phones are silent from that point forward.
Mhm.
And I wonder, in their case, would a one-time fee for a small amount of time generate more money for them up front? But I've never tested it. I'd love to know your thoughts on that.
Yes, and while I certainly am all for continuity and having ongoing subscription, because I know the goal of these types of offers is to grow recurring revenue base and start each month with a number of pre-approved transactions that you're going to be able to grow. And that's really the goal here of this offer. And I think in a lot of niches, you really need to consider what generates the best lifetime value. And in many situations, rather than trying to create a subscription base that grows over time, you can actually generate a much higher lifetime value if you give a term for an initial transaction and then look to renew them after 3 months or 6 months and take the transaction revenue quickly. And it occurs to me that actually Gary Halbert has a story about this where there is some sort of animal that is in heat, but only for
The
a short
porcupine.
period of time. And then they have, I've heard it third or fourth hand, and that really what he was describing is that customers are interested in buying in a certain period of time. And there's a lot of customers that are interested in buying for a very certain period of time. And then afterwards, they're not interested anymore. And you have to serve them and have the maximize the transaction value within that period of time. And then beyond that, they're not going to be interested in you or anything else. There is going to be a 80-20-4 in your customer base. And very likely in this type of niche, 80% of the customers are going to be that type of customer where they are very interested. They are feeling the pain for a very small period of time, and maximizing their value during that period of time is absolutely key. The other 20%, or maybe even the top 20% of that top 20%, that 4%, they might be interested in more of a long-term experience. They may be able to you may be able to have them in a continuity program. So having some sort of balance of those, I think, is what I've seen to be the best overall performer.
Well, one of the things that you said to me, Rob, I'm actually implementing it. One of the things that you had told me about Mind Valley that you liked a lot is they do a year-long continuity. So
Mhm.
it rebuilds every 12 months. So actually in one of the funnels that I'm working on right now, we have a done with you 12-month service. So I'm actually implementing one of the things that you taught me, Rob, which
Mm.
is it's in alignment with what we're doing here. It's actually a done with you service, but it rebuilds every 12 months. And I'm really looking forward to launching it here shortly. If it works, you'll be amazing. And if it doesn't work, I won't tell anybody about it.
In the next couple of months, let me get you a copy of my annual renewal guide. You could
Really?
give it to your
What?
team because a couple of years ago, I had a whole rash of annual renewal clients and really went deep on that whole process of what happens
Wow.
10 and 11 months after that initial transaction and what you can do in order to maximize those renewals. So let me get a copy of that to you over
Oh,
the
I
next
would
few
love it.
months after you've launched that. But yes, yeah, of course, that's Agora's really sweet spot. Agora is a multi-billion dollar financial publishing business, and their renewals are a massive part of their business. And that it's really created a tremendous asset in how they are able to create these initial transactions for a newsletter purchase and have renewals a year repeatedly out into the future. And yes, it takes some time, but it creates a tremendous ongoing asset. There's another client that I worked with very extensively that really 2/3 of their business now is in those annual renewals. And that
Wow.
provides them a tremendous amount of cash flow that can be reinvested on the front end in order to expand and grow their business. And the front end, it doesn't really even have to make a profit for the first year because they have built up these annual renewals. So, yes, it can be a tremendously powerful business strategy, but it requires some patience. And usually it requires some of these funnels on the front end that allow you to generate and maximize the value of each segment of your customer base as you generate them so that you can then find that segment of your customer base that is interested in that multi-year journey. And those come on. I don't know about your niche, but they come on and drink scotch on Zooms with the guru, and they are there for life. And finding
That's
your
amazing.
lifers is a tremendous experience.
Well, definitely within the context of the funnel that I'm working on right now, it to me makes tremendous sense because a lot of the times having a monthly continuity puts tremendous pressure on the customer to get massive value like immediately. And the service that this client is offering is more of a like I just think the temperament, like I would have offered, it's a 197 upsell, a $97 upsell. I would have offered it alone as a standalone, but it actually makes tremendous sense. In this case, I get the best of both worlds. I get a 197 offer without the pressure of forcing someone into a continuity, which
Mhm.
absolutely does cause people to stop and think about it. But when it's 12 months out, it kind of removes a lot of the tension associated with ordering. And then it gives people this huge runway to kind of settle into this done with you service without the pressure of being billed every single month. So I kind of really like the 12-month recurring business model. I think
Mhm.
after talking with you about it, it was never something that was on my mind. And now the more I think about it, the more I feel like it's a fabulous business model.
Yeah, of course, the first 15 years of my career were only annual renewals. And back then, of course, we had to get them to actually write a check.
Oh,
How
wow.
many customers even know how to write a check today? My kids
Yeah,
don't.
yeah. What's a
they,
check?
it's like a head scratch. My gosh, I got to write a check.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
they have to write a check, put it in an envelope, address the envelope, find a stamp, put a stamp on it. We actually, for a lot of the
wow.
offers, we gave them a self-addressed business reply envelope. They didn't have to find an envelope or a stamp, but then they had to mail it back to us.
Yeah,
And the sales letters that you have to do in order to make that happen were tremendous. The other thing I would, just as an aside, when you have that, you're going to be tempted to give them a process to be able to cancel their subscription so that they can turn off. What I suggest instead is a process where they can turn off auto renew. And that way because you're going to provide them the full 12-month value of what they've purchased. You're not canceling the subscription at month 10 simply because they want to turn off auto renew. Instead, just make it a turn off auto renew process. And what I found is that it takes the pressure off because they're not canceling. And then when they turn off auto renew, you have an opportunity to save them and maybe provide them a special auto renew only discount or some of those other type of offers that you might do to try to save them on auto renew. But then when they turn off auto renew, you then have some sort of engagement campaign that says, hey, in the time you have left, make sure that you use this because this is of highest value. So you can get them back engaged. And then you can still have the same type of countdown offer that you would if you had never had the auto renew. And you will save a lot of customers because they didn't cancel. So they didn't terminate the relationship. They just turned off auto renew. And now
nice.
you have permission and a particular great way of doing a countdown offer to their renewal and maybe even a save after. Like, okay, you're going to lose your access tomorrow. Make sure you auto renew at this or you renew at this offer. And so for decades, we had people that didn't have pre approved credit card transactions. So doing a renewal campaign is really old school, but it also works. And so those are a couple little tips. We completely changed the subject, but on
Yeah,
that, it might be useful for you.
I would love to do a show just about that. That's very valuable. Yeah.
Well, put your comments down below. What did you like about today's show? What are your questions about the back end? Make sure you grab a copy of the book Monetization by Caleb O Dowd. It's a brilliant, brilliant deep dive. And check out the link below this episode so that you could really do a deep dive into this funnel and do so with the thought of how can I use this upsell process of having a tool, having an order form that has a type of continuity subscription, and then have an upsell on the back end that offers a higher price, asynchronized coaching that enables the customer to really develop this skill. And then when they receive the coaching, you might even be able to do this yourself as the entrepreneur initially in order to really get an understanding of the types of questions you receive and the answers that you need to give so that you can train your team. But the real key of that actual coaching experience that makes the whole thing work is that the coach needs to drive them back to the product that the customer has and get them to the modules of the training they purchased, get them into the modules of the continuity they purchased to build the value of what that customer has invested in. And that's going to help the whole thing have a much higher retention rate than it would as each of the pieces. And it's just an absolute machine that the performance golf team has built. And I'm so proud of Brixton and his team and what they've created. They're brilliant, brilliant people, and encourage you to check out and learn from them. Caleb, any final last words? We'll get you to some aloe. You can rub on your shoulders and your face in order to recover from your beach day with your son.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in closing, I really think that one of the best things that any internet business owner, any business owner in general, but particularly any internet business owner can do is really go out and, purchase a lot of products in sales funnels, go through a lot of sales funnels, find out what other people are offering, and see if you can begin offering those things in your own funnels, because the impact that a really great high converting upsell can have on the financials of your business is massive. And a lot of guys that even do funnels don't spend enough time split testing various different offers, upsell offers within their funnels. They usually sit down, they come up with one or two or three, and then whatever their conversion rates are, that's what they've got, and they run with. Not enough people really sit down and spend a lot of time identifying new upsell offers to split test against existing offers. And believe me, if you can strike oil with a really good upsell offer, it can transform your business overnight.
And I understand how discouraging it can be. Like you do all this work creating an upsell, you buy a couple different funnels and you get excited and you want to model one. And so you implement for yourself all of these different pieces. And it requires a lot of copywriting, it requires a lot of work. And you go through and you get your design team to create the pages and you get your web people to implement, and it takes several weeks and you turn it on, and if it doesn't shoot like a rocket, Caleb, how many times have you had this happen where you're a brilliant man and you have mentored with the best and you've been doing this now for several decades? I would think that with a man of your experience and renown, you just do it and it works every time, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not the case. Even, you got to test, you got to find out what your customers are going to respond to. I always tell my clients, you got to kiss a lot of frogs, but the winners pay for the losers many, many, many times over. But there's key areas for you to focus on in your business. Number one, if you don't have any upsells in your funnel, you need to focus on that pretty darn quick and start getting some upsells into your funnel. And, for those of you who do have upsells, really testing a number of different upsells in your funnel against what you've already got is one of those things that can really swing the math for you. So yeah, you got to test, you got to kiss a lot of frogs, but believe me, when you can find a real high converting offer, and you'll find lots of ideas by just studying competitors in your niche, in other niches. Believe me, when you can find a really good idea that clicks with your audience, that clicks with your customers, as I keep saying, it can transform the math for you and it'll all be worthwhile.
And to kind of bring it back to where we started, that's what this business
Yeah.
this whole e-commerce business isn't simply taking a page and sticking it online and expecting that to generate ongoing revenue forever. I appreciate that there are a lot of people out there who make those promises, and unfortunately, that's not how this business really works. It's all about studying what is working, getting an understanding of how you can perhaps use those ideas and incorporate them within your own funnel, testing different approaches, really understanding. One of the things that I know we've talked about several times, Caleb, is really diving into who your customer is, what your competitors are doing, what those pain points are, and then innovating in a way that you're able to break through. But when you, as Caleb says, when you do, you have a runaway hit that no one else understands, and they're on the sidelines going, I don't know what we're doing here. And meanwhile, you can, whether you tell anybody about it or not, you can have a fabulous success and no one else has to know about it. Or you can publicize your revenue and be on an Inc. 1000 list or something if you like. But Caleb, thank you. I think this is
Thank you, Rob.
absolute brilliant breakthrough. Let us know in the comments. And to check out this funnel for yourself, go to the description in this video, and that will get you instant access. So thanks a lot. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye bye. God bless.